Well, I'm really pleased that there were no casualties from the Iranian attack on the Iraqi bases where our troops are housed. This creates an opportunity to de-escalate the crisis. I think President Trump is pursuing that de-escalation by pledging himself to further sanctions rather than speaking to further military action. This would be tremendous. There is absolutely no reason we should be at war with Iran. We've made egregious mistakes on Afghanistan and Iraq at the cost of thousands of Americans killed, tens of thousands injured, hundreds of billions of dollars of American treasure lost. We cannot make that mistake again. Well, if there had been casualties last night, I think the administration would have responded with further military action, and that escalation could very much be a war. This is gravely concerning. The way that the Trump administration has acted has damaged all of our strategic objectives in the Middle East. We had Iranian citizens protesting against our government. Now they're protesting against us. We had Iraqis protesting against Iranian influence. Now they're embracing Iranian influence and voting to expel us from the country. We've interrupted the training of Iraqi troops fighting ISIS. We've given license to Iran to increase nuclear enrichment, and we placed our citizens and our assets and our allies' assets at much greater risk. So we've damaged all of that. The administration now needs to start repairing the damage it's caused by working to restore the relationship with NATO and rebuild the relationship with the Iraqi government. Yes, the War Powers is designed when there's an imminent threat. We're going to have a briefing this afternoon as to whether there was an imminent threat. Initially, the Department of Defense and President indicated there was. They've essentially backed off of that more recently, but I'm looking forward to the detailed briefing. This is certainly an issue that requires a lot of trust and judgment with the President's team, but they did not seem to exercise a lot of judgment in terms of examining the damage to our strategic objectives in the region by the strategy that the President chose. Well, the main action that Congress could take is to block the President from pursuing any additional military activities against Iran unless there is authorization, through an authorization for the use of military force against Iran. The President has cited, and his team have cited, the 2002 authorization that was the authorization against Iraq. That was specifically aimed at Saddam Hussein. It is certainly not applicable here. They've also implied the 2001 resolution against Afghanistan would apply. But that was very specifically, and the wording was those who attacked us on 9/11, and certainly Iran did not attack us on 9/11. So to pursue war outside of immediate response to protect a threat to American interests, the President needs to come to Congress for authorization. And Congress could proactively emphasize that together by, for example, passing a resolution that I will introduce tomorrow that explicitly says the 2001 and 2002 authorizations do not provide authority to go to war against Iran. Well, I visited in 12 of our rural counties just last week and held town halls. And what I heard was a collective interest in averting war. There's not an appetite for war, and there's not an appetite for unleashing a nuclear program in Iran by eliminating the restrictions that were in place. So I think that we now have a moment that President Trump has seized the opportunity to de-escalate by emphasizing sanctions rather than military action, and that's a positive for all of us. Well, we're all very aware that President Trump talked a lot about how Obama was going to launch a war to help himself in his election. So that is a theme that has been on the president's mind, is how do you help yourself in your election, and is that a strategy that's useful? The impression of many who have already been briefed is that there wasn't a dramatic difference in the threat. There wasn't an imminent threat in the nature that would have justified the timing of this. But I haven't had that briefing, and I'm going to withhold judgment until I do.